So, in today's video, we're going to be going over the M1E1 under the Agent Chopper. Overall, I think this is a pretty strong vehicle. For abilities, the ultimate, that is a creeping barrage. It's the same as the one on the FV, since it's tied to the Agent. It does have a passive that when you are on a capture point, you do get the warded proc. So that means you do take 6% less damage while you're on a capture point. The abilities for it, the primary ability is the APS system, or the active protection system. This is the shield that you can put up and move with the vehicle. This is definitely good for the aggressive playstyle of this vehicle. It means that you can kind of get out of sticky situations, or it allows you to get up close and personal to a vehicle before you take damage from them, in that way that you're in the optimal range to actually fight those vehicles. For the second ability is the minigun. So against lighter vehicles, it is pretty good because it can penetrate those lighter vehicles and do full damage. Against heavier vehicles, like most of the defenders, you won't find yourself really penetrating all that much. So it does alright damage, but again, it's better used against lighter vehicles. But it will be able to stop people from healing when you have your shield up. So one combo you can do is put your shield up and then to activate your minigun in order to keep yourself safe and also still be able to dish out damage to people up close. Let's go over the actual modules that I run on the vehicle at max level. So first module is the Vulcan auto turret. I actually kind of like using the penetration for the auto cannon just so that I can make sure that I'm penetrating those lighter vehicles. The cooldown is also a nice one to have. This is an either or preferential on which one you want to actually take. For the second one, I use the active protection system, which gives me a lower cooldown and a little bit longer duration for it. The hit points one is also a good one to take. So again, second slot is either of your choice, whatever you prefer. For the third module slot, I'm not a huge fan of spending tech at the lower ends of things. I actually go the Sys 90. This gives me plus 30% damage, plus 40 penetration, and minus 20% reload for 30 seconds after I take more than 5,000 damage. It has a 40-second cooldown, so once you activate it and you fully expend it, there's about 10 seconds where you have to wait before taking more damage for it to count towards this 5,000 total. I have been able to get it activated a few times in a match. Burnout state, if you want to reduce your ammo rack crit modifier, it's alright. Smoke area is alright. I personally don't use this. I don't really like it because it increases the reload time, but if you're noticing you're taking a lot of damage from ammo racks and just want to increase the protection of this vehicle's ammo rack, you can take this. But overall, I generally just recommend this in general. And if you don't want to worry about any of those, maybe just increase the side hull armor a little bit. But if you're not going to take either of these two modules at this point, it's whatever you prefer to choose after this. But I do recommend using this. This module allows you to one-shot Leos once you have it procced, so that's one thing that you should keep in mind. Also, it increases your hit points, which is a good bonus. It does decrease the hull traverse a bit, but I haven't really felt like it affected me all that much. For the fourth slot, I run the toughness module, and the only real reason why I actually run it is for the plus 25 to HP from all sources. And the incoming crit modifier is nice to have, and it does suck that it has a plus 5% to equipment cooldown though. But I haven't really noticed too much of this lesser recovery being super important for me, and overall I don't think it's something that you should rely on. So I understand if this isn't the module for you. This is my specific module that I like to run, but that's just because of the equipment that I like to use. You could run the resistant module. This allows you to just take less damage from abilities in-game, so anything that's not a primary cannon that does damage to you will be reduced by 15%. It does also increase resistances for slow, fire, and shock. Again, radiation, there's not much in the game. I don't think there's anything that actually applies radiation other than some of the base destruction effects. So I don't really see this as a negative. It doesn't really affect anything, so most of all, this module has a bunch of positives. And if you prefer to take minus 15% damage from abilities, it's a good pickup. I also like the Back on Track, the HA309. It does decrease the reload time, but it also gives you 8% HP. and that can also make you feel extremely tanky. And also it does help that it constantly repairs your tracks every time they get damaged. Well, not every time, but ever on a 30-second cooldown. So this is a nice module to run too. Percentage of damage blocked or received is converted into ultimate energy. This one's a good one if you want to constantly get your ultimate up, especially in the chopper. But I would just be careful because now if I were to run this, I'd be stacking minuses on my whole traverse. So I would just be careful with picking the options for this one. I wouldn't care to choose this one. Don't waste your tech on this. Again, I wouldn't waste the tech on the hit points for this one when there's essentially, you know, 2 modules that can increase your hit points with some added benefits as well. Incoming crit modifier. Again, there's things in here that decrease the crit modifier. If you're really worried about the incoming crit modifier on the ammo rack, just get the legendary. For the 5th slot, I actually use the each kill restores 40 ability energy. So the primary reason for that is the AP damage maximum of 11%. So all the other ones, they don't have as high of an AP damage maximum increase, so I don't really care to use it. I do like the ability to have 40. I do like the option of having 40 energy whenever you get a kill. This means that I constantly have energy up in this vehicle, and I don't have to worry about holding my abilities in order to not run out of energy and to try and hold my resources. So I do actually like the option to have this. Plus the 11% extra damage is pretty nice for me to have. Reload time on the first one, if you're really early on, it's not the worst, right? Don't get me wrong, it brings your reload below 5 seconds, especially early on, but I don't know if I would really use my tech on this. AP damage maximum, same as well. It's like, would I really use my tech on this when I have further options later on? AP optimal range increase with damage maximum. This one's alright. Right, so the damage maximum increases above the reload time decrease, which kind of keeps your DPM similar. It just makes it so that you do a little bit more damage at further ranges, but still, regardless, you can't exactly snipe in this vehicle because it still has optimal range and it does have damage fall off past an optimal range and penetration fall off and all that, since it is an AP round. If you feel like your turret traverse is too slow, this isn't the worst option, but again, I would rather just take the damage. And for the epic module, the AP penetration maximum, it's alright. The AP damage maximum of 10% is pretty good, but I do feel like the optimal range reduction and the AP velocity reduction, I think it's a little bit too much for this mod. Like if this was like a 3% AP velocity reduction and a 10% damage reduction beyond optimal range, it'd be fine, but I feel like the AP damage maximum needs to be more than just on the blue module, right? The blue module just has a better passive as well. Like the Epic doesn't have a single passive on it that could make it a little bit better than this. Last slot, there's only 2 options here, APS energy cost or turret traverse speed. I just take this because, you know, I reduced my turret traverse speed in some of the options that I built. So this one is just kind of an easier choice for me to take. But if you don't reduce your turret's traverse speed, or you don't really care about the turret traverse speed, you can go the AP energy cost and just make it so your energy management is a little bit easier. For equipment, what I'm currently running on the vehicle while it's fully upgraded is the repair kit with the 550 HP instantly. When running this legendary module, it means that I'm able to heal for about 700 damage every time I use this. So it's the only reason why I use this on the vehicle. It does make me feel pretty tanky, even with running just the 550 hit points option. And I also use the whole reinforcement kit for the 700 temporary HP. The only reason why I run this as well is just due to the fact that I'm trying to get as close to this 5,000 HP before dying. And running these two kind of means that I am more likely to get it most of the time. Now, there is also the option of rebuild kit, and every time I put up an APS, I could rebuild kit, but I feel like there's too much downtime between each of these. And, you know, again, if you take a tick of damage, that's 65 seconds that you gotta wait for the full repair again. So it's not a bad option, don't get me wrong. but I just prefer the 550 hit points instantly. Now, for the actual automatic recovery, you will see me using it in the stock game, and I don't think it's actually the worst option on this vehicle because of the fact that you can put an APS up, and the APS lasts longer than the actual activation time. So if you're able to hide behind your APS, you most of the time are already going to start triggering your active repair kit. And the one benefit I will say over this, over like the rebuild kit, is even if you take a hit point of damage, if you just wait 10 more seconds, you'll get your repair back and start healing up. And I would say normally this 100 hit point heal is too slow for most vehicles, and is one of the reasons why I don't recommend it. But with the plus 25% health, 125 hit points a second might not seem that much of an increase. But after 2 seconds, that's 50 extra health. After 3 seconds, it's 75 extra health. After 4 seconds, it's 100, and so on and so on. So for me, it's an option. But yeah, let's go over actual agent skills. So for this vehicle, this is the agent skill set that I am running. I'm using the 10% slow to applied shells on my ultimate. The shells hit an enemy increases their track repair time by 10%. It's alright. It's an okay one. To be fair, the ultimate kind of tracks people multiple times, so even if they repair their kit, their tracks, they'll get hit again, so I'm not too worried about this, in all honesty. For the second slot, I run the minus 5% to reload time for each ability on cooldown. Because I'm just constantly using my abilities and cycling it, I actually, most of the time, get that 10% extra reload. And I would say it's quite worth it to have. I would say this is probably the one that you want to unlock first when it comes to all of the agent skills. Just so you're not wasting your skill points. And it does help with the vehicle's ability to kind of dish out damage. For the third slot, I do the 10% turret traverse speed, because again, I want that faster turret traverse speed in case someone is trying to get around me. But the 10% engine power is also an okay choice. I wouldn't say it's the most optimal choice. I would just prefer using the 10% turret traverse speed. And then for the fourth option, the 1 stack of warded when the enemy team is winning. I prefer this just because if we are in a losing situation, it does give me the ability to take a little bit more damage and hopefully be able to pull back a game. But again, not all the time will I be able to do so, but it is just a little bit of benefit when losing. But you could also have the after expiring warded is granted again for 10 seconds. So this means when you get on caps and you get the warded from the passive of chopper, if you then drive off the cap, you will get 10 seconds of warded and kind of be able to fight with warded off of caps as well. I would like to say, if you do like my videos and are looking forward for future videos, go ahead and leave a subscribe and a like. So this is the stock game. This is, just kind of me running the vehicle without any module upgrades, no agent skills, nothing like that. Just completely bare bones on the vehicle. And I kind of do this too when upgrading a vehicle until I get the specific modules that I want. So this is a hardpoint game. So 5v5, 3 bases. I mean, I think this is kind of like one of the environments that the chopper vehicles excel at, both the FB and the M1E1 in these 5v5 game modes. Though I think most defenders are able to show kind of like their skill more in this game mode type than in the 10v10. In all honesty, I will say the M1E1 is definitely a better contender for game modes, specifically like kill confirmed, over like the FB or the Ember. Just because it feels a little bit more mobile, the gun feels a bit more punchy. Its kit feels like it's built a bit more for that higher aggression than like the FB or the XM1V. Here you can kind of see me thinking about trying to snipe those pixels and then realizing that, wait, why should I do that? I can just shoot his fuel tank. This is kind of an example of, again, this vehicle is not built for sniping. Like, he doesn't even feel like he's that far away, and I'm only doing 390 damage. And also another great example of why, AP just isn't able to crit at further ranges. Reduced crit cone means I'm not able to crit his ammo rack. which means I'm not even able to get any of the bonus damage from it. Also, just the inaccuracy at ranges, because I am a defender vehicle, just means I'm not really able to penetrate him all that well. I do notice this FV kind of coming up, and I'm kind of just waiting here to ambush him as he comes around the corner. I was going to try and shoot his fuel tank, but he moved at an angle that I just didn't really have the option. But I think this is like one of the highlights of the gun, is it's a low reload gun. Like, it's about 5.4 seconds, 5.3 seconds. But even though it's only 5.3 seconds, it's still able to dish out like 11 to 1200 ammo crits whenever you're able to find them, which is nice. And I feel like the gun definitely is punchy. So this is before I have any damage upgrades or anything. So it's about 640 alpha, just base. And I don't know, I kind of enjoy the gun. I feel like it's weird, right? Because theoretically, like, vehicles like the actual M55A1, you know, they theoretically have a lot higher DPM, but I just don't like the fact that the gun can't crit for like 1,000 crit damage on penetrations to the ammo rack. Unfortunately, I kind of got there. I put my APS up on one target and wasn't really able to notice the XM190 coming around. Here, I'm just trying to actually just stay in the point just so I can get that actual extra 6% reduction on damage taken from the warded status effect. So it's kind of one of the reasons why I'm just sitting on the edge instead of actually pushing like that FB off or anything. Just because I feel like if I had gone in with that FB, I would go and die because everyone would be able to get cross shots on me. Not like they can't here, but I'm less of a target than if I was in the pit. And as you can see here, that guy got super lucky. That shield saved his life, but it does look like the proxy had swapped. The shield definitely didn't save that XM190 from getting crit in the ammo rack though, which is a good thing. And you notice I kind of sat there during the whole chopper ult, and the whole reason for that is just because I wasn't worried about actually getting hit by the chopper ult. Since I'm technically inside, the shells from the chopper ult just don't have the ability to kind of go through this dome. Like, the angle isn't proper, so I don't have to worry about getting hit unless I'm in the water area down at the bottom. Here, just trying to shoot the FE. I feel like that shot should have penetrated, but whatever. I also feel like I am definitely hard focusing this FE more than I should. Definitely get a little bit of tunnel vision on him. If I had been paying more attention, I would have noticed that, you know, that Leo had moved and that he's actually on my side now. But I was kind of just too focused on the FE in all honesty. Overall, so far this match hasn't been going that badly. It is kind of funny that XM190 did ult and trying to hit people inside the dome. It does look like he actually may have connected those shots from the explosions that happened behind us, which is quite interesting because 9 times out of 10 when you try and ult someone in there, they just get blocked up by the top. So we're super close to winning, and I just want to kind of end out this game super quick, so I do kind of rush the capture point. It's already a bit too late since I did capture, so there's not any real way for that Leo to kill me. Now, I do kind of just put my shield up, and I'm expecting someone to try and drive on the capture point, so the whole reason why I'm actually holding the shield up is I'm just waiting for someone to drive in and drop my ult on their forehead. But unfortunately, or fortunately, the game ends. It was definitely a faster paced game. I think that's one of the things that this vehicle definitely excels at is faster paced games, faster paced matches. It definitely thrives in those faster games and everything like that. So like an FE or an XM1V would suffer a little bit. M1E1 is just right up its alley. It's kind of where this vehicle thrives, in all honesty. You can see here, this is me grinding it on my personal account because I wanted to get the full experience of how it feels to grind the actual chopper before I tested all of the modules and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and hop over to the fully upgraded. vehicle. So this vehicle is with all the modules that I have on it. Now, I've been thinking, like, would you guys want to see videos in the future where I'm just putting out like a 10 to 12 minute video of just a singular game and kind of just talking about that game? Because, like, this is one of those games where I feel like I would have done that if that was the case. So, just kind of little heads up, I don't die a single time in this game, like, at all. And that kind of just shows the power of Chopper. He just feels so damn tanky. Even though, like, theoretically, like, he doesn't have more HP than the FE, or it's very similar to the FE and stuff like that. And I don't know, there's just something about the M1E1 that just feels tankier than the FE in that aspect. Maybe it's the speed of getting out of danger a little bit faster. It may be just a combination of it all. Plus, I feel like the frontal hull just has a better, like, armor layout, which kind of helps it from being just shot at range, unlike the FE. I feel like the FE's weak points up close are definitely a little bit more blaring with the driver's hatch and the below the hull weak point. So the M1E1 doesn't have that below the hull one. Now, this is quite a sticky situation that I'm in. There are currently 3 people shooting at me. And I actually don't know if I'm going to survive this one. I get lit on fire. I'm like, oh shit, I should have used my heal kit before I got lit on fire. I'm going to die. But luckily for me, my teammates do finally come around to help me out. And I'm able to actually survive this encounter. And there was a slight instance where you could see the healing from my friendly shooting that other chopper, but it was so minimal that I don't really even think it's worth mentioning. Again, I don't think the module, the legendary module, is important for the fact of having the actual healing from your teammates doing damage to enemies. I think it's just having that increase overall health of 25%. Bonus healing on, like, my equipment and stuff, and that's kind of why I like to run it. So I'm just kind of prepping my ultimate since I noticed this FE coming. I'm hoping that by leading it that I'm able to kind of land these directly on him, but I just wasn't expecting him to full drive into the cap like this. And honestly, this is a poor shot placement by me. I definitely could have done better. But I think if I had aimed where I wanted to, it would have actually been blocked by the ERA, and I would have done a lot less damage. So I don't know if it's the worst outcome altogether. Here you notice that I actually proc my epic module. So I have the Protect, Strike, and Empowered, and the Wounded Fury. That's why I'm able to do 1700 damage at this range to that M60A2, right? And that's the benefit of running this module, right? The Sys90 is just the ability to do damage. Also, if you notice, it lets me just penetrate the front of the M1E1. And again, these higher damage crits from running this module. Now, I'm definitely very low health now at this point, so I'm actually just going to pull a cool move and skedaddle the hell out of here, because I just rather not die. But yeah, this vehicle, I think it's a combination of speed, firepower, armor layout. It just makes this vehicle feel really good to play. Also, I think this HSTVL is using HE, because that was like 400 damage to me that I... Like, it doesn't seem like he was using the actual multi-shotgun until, you know, right then and there where it shows the 3 armor hits, but he did definitely do quite a bit of damage to me. Luckily for me, my shield blocks most of the damage from that EMP, so I don't actually take the damage. I noticed this other Leo kind of coming around, and that's kind of why I flicked right there, but luckily I was able to kind of pick up that Leo before he's putting any more damage into me. But yeah, on to the topic of actually just doing videos on games and stuff. I kind of want to hear, like, my community's feedbacks, if that's something you guys would want to watch in the future. I would still try to put out 2 guides a week for the videos, for the actual vehicles itself. But I feel like I want to try and maybe, I don't know, add some more content. But I don't know if it's like something you guys would watch, just adding like random games here and there throughout the week that are like interesting games or high damage games and stuff like that. I don't know if there's any way to really have the community interact with that as well, because currently, you know, the replay system in the game is locked down and we don't have any way to really share that. But I'm also hoping in the future that, you know, the community itself will be able to share their replays with me if they want to, just so that I can like do reviews on games and stuff. This ultimate, I definitely ulted a bit too soon, in all honesty. I notice him kind of think that that Leo is completely dead, so I'm trying to predict where he'll go. I actually think this was a pretty good prediction based off of like everything. So I almost perfectly slam him with that ultimate. It is unfortunate that the Leo does die. Well, the Leo 2FK dies, but you know, I was able to kind of secure that kill with my ultimate, which is kind of nice. I also get a free kill here. It seems like he was getting chased by a martyr, which is kind of funny, I won't lie. But I don't know. I don't know. This vehicle just, it's a very solid vehicle. Is just kind of how I would put it. It's very healthy. I don't think it's really what I would consider overpowered in the nature of like the Sys 90, but I think it's a consistent vehicle like the ALVT, right? You can always be consistent in the M1E1. I don't think you're going to get crazy numbered games on the M1E1. You may pull one out of a hat every now and again, but I don't think you're going to like get consistently high damage games. But I think you're going to be consistent on this vehicle, regardless of the fact. So, kind of able to pick off that M1E1 as well. Just kind of looking around to see if anyone is going to try and contest me on this point. And I noticed that M60 kind of heading this way. And I will say that ammo rack was a bit odd. I didn't think I could actually ammo rack it frontally like that, but it's cool to know that if it's going over a hill, you can frontally ammo rack the M60A too. Now, in this situation, I'm noticing that there are a lot of people coming to D. So I'm actually just going to kind of leave because I don't want to die at this point. In all honesty, I think there's only the M1E1. I actually see a Leo kind of being invis on the left side too, so... and that's him dying right now. I don't know why it gave me a squad wipe. I think it was just for the assist, to be honest. But able to pick off this M1E1 as well. I see this Amex. I'm able to hit the ammo, but I still kind of want to get out of here. And then I notice I'm getting jumped by an HSTVL and an M1E1. And I think this is honestly where I was going to die in this game. I get my Wounded Fury proc. I'm at 90 HP, but we win the game. So I'm able to just barely skirt by with 1 life on this game. Honestly, I felt like that was a really fun game to play. It felt very challenging to try and only get no deaths in a game. I was really going for it. Like, you could see me leaving on D capture. Wasn't expecting to get ambushed or anything. But overall, as I said earlier, if you do like the video, it would be nice if you did leave a subscribe and like on the video. And tell me what I can do better in the future. But other than that, have a good one. Goodbye.